Good evening, good evening, good evening to everyone, and welcome to this evening's conversation on the Hearts of Men podcast, to where we're going to have a very interesting conversation on the unfiltered necessity and importance of fatherhood. And as always, every Friday night, I have my host with me, Mr. Roland Walker. Soon to join us here soon is Mr. Chris McClellan. So, Roland, how are you this evening, my friend?
Man, this has been a week for me. Fatherhood really came into play for me because fatherhood came in the capacity of grandfatherhood.
Man, listen.
Had to take my daughter to the hospital where she could deliver a healthy baby boy. And, that gave extra work for myself. But like I always say, fatherhood are responsible and I take up the responsibility.
Man, I love it. I love it. Look here, man. Congratulations to you, brother. And you know what? I would like to see that young man if he's someplace close by. Just
They
kind
dumped him on me. He podcast and
of.
all. They dumped him on.
Yeah, man. Let's see that young fella.
They done put him on me
Look at
already.
him. Look at him, y'all. Look at him. Man, he is ready for the world.
3 days old. He already bugging, sitting with me chilling.
I
I
love
guess
it.
he gonna be the next one. Have his own podcast.
That's it, man. Get him started young. Get him started young. Man, I'm telling you, that's just kind of fitting. You know, Roland again, a brand new grandfather, and
No, we're brand new again.
brand new again. Yeah,
Yeah,
again, a brand new grandfather.
because this the ninth boy.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. So you have
yeah.
9 grandsons.
Grandsons and three granddaughters and one more grandson. We found out yesterday it's a boy. She was mad, but it's a boy. He's due in January.
Yeah, man. Listen, that's awesome, man. Congratulations again, man. That's just a beautiful thing, and
Thank you.
just children are beautiful. When we look at it from a high arcing point of view, it is something amazing. Um, so with that being said, man, do me a favor, man. Just kind of get us started. I gotta reel my brother Chris in real quick, man. So just kind of dive, just kind of jump off into this conversation if you don't mind, please, sir.
The unfiltered. See I think that unfiltered threw a little pizzazz to it.
It did.
Yeah, when it comes to fatherhood, because sometimes women don't necessarily want to hear that there's a necessity for having a male figure, a father figure in their sons' lives because, they've been taught, well, I can do anything a man can do and all of these things. But when it comes to rearing a child, when it comes to that male bonding and him actually facing the world as a man, it has to come from someone that looks like him, that thinks like him, and that can feel like him. And women, as strong as they are, as beautiful of people and parents as they are, they can't have that. They
Yeah.
can't be that person. Even they can take them so far, but they can't get them over the edge. That's like me trying to, with all my daughters. I can talk about periods. I can talk about having babies, but I can't teach you how to be a woman.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me of something I talked about previously. I know I can't remember what I talked about it last week, whether it was with you guys or whether it was on the conversation I had with Miss Onita Simpson. But I can teach my daughters how to be a good person,
Right.
but I can't teach them how to be a woman. I need a woman to teach my daughters how to be a woman. And I think
Right.
that's exactly what you're saying here. And it doesn't say that we don't need the mothers, but I think what we have to understand is that it is a joint team effort to raise a child. And
Right.
when we look at it from again, I like to talk from a higher overarching perspective. Um, I think we have to understand is that if we do not look at it from the perspective of teamwork is what is needed to raise these children, then we're missing the mark. Again, we as fathers, because I think what we have to realize again that there are very special and unique relationships with the opposite sex. So fathers with daughters and mothers with sons. Those are special relationships and we're not trying
Hmm.
to take anything away from them. So a lot of nurturing happens in that space. On the other
Exactly.
side, there's a lot of training that happens in the same sex relationships. So
Mhm.
fathers train sons and mothers train daughters. And I think for the most part, especially for those who are blessed to have both parents, I think they can reflect and actually see that actually happen in their space. So, I love where you're going with this because I agree with you 100%. And again, I want to make sure we're saying, what I want to make sure that people understand. We're not saying that, mothers aren't necessary. That's not what we're saying at all. Mothers are necessary, mothers are needed, mothers are valued. But we also have to realize that that same value, that same necessity is also needed for the fathers as well.
Exactly.
And
And and we are like you're saying, and we shouldn't even have to apologize for men trying to raise sons to be men and saying that it's a necessity that the men be in their sons' lives and have, whether or not you worked out with the mother has not, you still can't neglect your duties as a father,
right,
as a man.
right,
And that's why when, because, men get mad at me sometimes because I hold their feet to the fire when it comes to manhood. Like even I may do some dumb stuff. I would hope that another man would say, dude, you doing something dumb right now.
absolutely.
You're not acting as a man. You're acting as a. I think we have a lot of immature boys. I mean, or immature men who think they're actually in the role of a man just because they have two balls and a cane and they think they can make you can make a baby. So now you think that you are in the role of a man. No, you're
Yeah,
not in the role of a man just because you made a baby. When you take care of that baby, when you teach that child, when you raise that child to not do the things that you've done. There you go. Yeah, he was writing some stuff down. Chris came on ready.
greetings, my
I'm
friend. How are you?
I'm
All right.
well. I am fresh off of work. I'm just now entering in. So right now I'm just a fly on the wall, just listening.
No, no, no. You're
Okay.
good. You're good. We just got started, and we want to make sure that we acknowledge you when you came in. And we were just talking about the necessity. Roland showed us his brand new grandson, handsome young man, and it's just a beautiful thing. Fatherhood's a beautiful thing. Being a grandfather, because being as a grandfather, you're a mature father. Really, that's what I like to call it. And it's just beautiful. And what we're talking about right now, just to bring you back up to speed here. We're just simply starting the conversation off with the necessity of fatherhood. And one of the things I said, I talked about the special relationship between mothers and sons and fathers and daughters, right? That's where a lot of nurturing happens. But on the other side, one of the things that I talked about as well, when you start looking at those same sex relationship, fathers to son and daughters to mothers to daughters, that's where a lot of training happens. And sometimes, well, a lot of times, let's say it that way. Um, a lot of times we kind of miss the mark, especially when we're absent from that child's life, whether it's the father or the mother. We're absent from that child's life, and what ends up happening, that child suffers because they miss a lot of that train up that they actually need to be mature adults, whether we're looking at fathers or daughters. I'm sorry, whether we're looking at sons or daughters. When they become young adults, what you'll find is that they're lacking in some of those adult skills that they would have got if they had that healthy relationship with that other parent. So this is just where we are right now. And obviously, sir, you are definitely welcome to share any initial thoughts you have in this conversation.
About the importance of fatherhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, oh. I guess I would say fatherhood is important because it it completes the child
Mm,
in a sense because he, the child gets both sides. The
yeah,
child gets the mom, the nurturing side, and the child gets the order, the logic, and the discipline side. And I don't mean discipline like I'm gonna whoop you. I mean discipline like, okay, you said you were gonna do this, you need to do it.
right.
So that would be where I would start.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. And I love the completeness in this, what you say, it completes them, right? Because you're right. Absolutely right. I think every child, whether it's a boy child or girl child, I think they need both parents to get that full spectrum of adulthood training. Because let's be honest, as parents, we're responsible for raising young adults. We raise young children to be responsible adults, so that once they, just venture off into life, they have the necessary tools needed to be fully functional and not damage people en route to their destination.
Yeah, and it's a father's job to rear his daughters to that she may want a man to treat her as her father treated. And that, I always, try to tell my daughter, if a man doesn't do this for you, I mean, your daddy does, and at the same other side of the coin, his son should emulate how he treats his mother, or if they aren't together, women, his sisters, and everybody, uh, how he treats them. That's how he should try to treat women also, whether it be opening doors, being chivalrous, or anything like that. Because when he looks for a woman, he's looking for a certain type. And if his father has already trained him, hey, this is how you treat her. And she's not, sometimes, and I will tell you, sometimes a man has to treat a woman so that she will know how she should be treated. Because all women don't necessarily know how they should be treated. They accept things, and when they accept those things, they set that standard. And sometimes the men take the short way out and actually start neglecting their duties and doing what negatives just come into play in that relationship.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. And shout out to everybody in the chats. I appreciate, I want to make sure I acknowledge everybody, right? We appreciate your attendance, and we definitely appreciate any insights that you add as we have this discussion. I see Cassandra McKenzie and Michelle Ray in the chat. Welcome. Again, thank you for joining us on this Friday evening. And again, every Friday we're here at 8 p.m. just to have these conversations because we believe that they're necessary for the continual development and well-being of our society. Now, back to what you're saying. I like where you're going with this because what you said previously is that even if me and mom don't work out, right? If me and mom don't work out, that does not rid me of my responsibilities of my child. But the other part as well, I would like to throw in the mix that it has to be a welcoming environment so that I can actually be a father to my child as well. I can't it's going to be very difficult and I've seen this in the past partially from experience. It can't be a very hostile environment when I come around because what we're showing the child in that essence, we're showing the child that yeah, you can have a relationship with dad, but it's going to be very difficult because I'm not necessarily in support of it. What are your thoughts in relation to
Chris?
I'm sorry, say that again. Because you said a lot.
that?
You said a lot right there.
Yeah, so I think when we look at parenthood, if
Uh-huh.
mom and dad don't make it, one of the things they're going to have to do, they're going to have to mature to the point to where dad understands that he needs to be a fully functioning part of that child's life. But on the other hand, mom has to create the environment that allows him to do so as well. Because if we do not do that, if she does not do that, then what's it's going to be? It's going to be very difficult for that child to have a fully functioning relationship with their dad because it's going to feel like it's not welcomed.
And I'm going to add to that. This in no way, shape, or form is diminishing the importance of motherhood. It's not. It's just letting you know that there's a piece of that boy, since we're talking about products of single mom homes who are men or boys, there's a part of him that he needs from his father. It's not diminishing how important you are as a mother. It's stressing the importance of the father being there. And simply because it didn't work out with you, that man didn't leave the mother and the child. He left the mother. The child is still his, and the child is still supposed to be important. That man knows that. So he needs to be there. Ain't that something? Aw. I hope to get there one day. I'm jealous. I hope to get there one day because y'all have children and y'all have grandchildren, and I don't have any children. So I don't know what it's like to be a father, which is why I started my channel, because I want to know what it's like to be a father. I want to know what it's like to be a husband. So I figured I would go to the people that are doing it and ask them, hey, give me a solid foundation of what it's like. I know my fatherhood isn't going to be the same as yours, but I know the basic bare bones principles are going to be the same. So let me know. Let me know what I'm supposed to do so that way I don't make the same mistakes that my predecessors made.
Well, I would tell you firsthand, we made enough mistakes for us to have learned to teach you the things not to do. So if we can, if listen, if we can put that information out, then we can prevent you from going over the same roadblocks. And
and you know what? It takes a lot to say that. Seriously. It takes a lot to say that, hey, I made some mistakes. Don't do what I do. Because what I did isn't necessarily going to be what you need to do. Don't do what I do. Matter of fact, if you see me doing something that you know isn't right, do the opposite. But just learn from what I did.
Yeah. I think that kind of mirrors what Roland said a few seconds ago, right? But here's the best thing. I think what's important, and this kind of goes into what that father and son relationship looks like. You know, men over the course of their years of growing, and I think everybody goes through that phase to where they hit that stubborn stage, right? Every child at a certain age knows everything. Roland, I don't know if you can attest to this, but every child at a certain age knows everything. So when their parents start telling them, say, hey, don't do this, don't do that, whatever the case may be, it's like, yeah, that sounds good, mom, that sounds good, dad. But that's back then. This is a new era. We're smarter, we're more intelligent now. So I think what most fathers, what most parents in general, but especially fathers, because that's what we're talking about right now. What most fathers have done is that they've learned from their mistakes, so they don't necessarily pass along the whole context of the mistake that they made. They pass along the lessons that are learned from the mistakes, and I think that's important to understand as well. And it doesn't make us subhuman. In fact, we do admit we make mistakes, but the lessons is where the value exists. Go ahead, Ro.
See, and sometimes what happens is we deal with one another through the pain that the other person caused us.
Ooh.
So we hold on to that, and he did this to me, and he did that, and she did. So in turn, we rub that off on the children.
Right.
And so, well, your daddy, you look, anytime it's something negative, you act just like your daddy, or things like that. And we throw those things in their heads, so they have a negative connotation towards their father. And then even the songs, Papa was a Rolling Stone, and my name being Roland, I heard it my whole life. And so it's always that those negative things that's thrown out there about fathers. And I'm not saying that a lot of fathers don't mimic those behaviors, but those of us that are trying, I think parents have to work. Sometimes the woman is more mature than a man, so she has to stay in that mature lane. And sometimes we can be baited into acting unseemingly in cases. So we have to make sure I get to pass the baby off. I did my job.
I hear that's the great part of being a grandparent. You can get a kid back.
Gotta go. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotta go. And like even me coming, I love spending time with my grandchildren. And come January, it'll be 13 grandchildren. And teaching my grandchildren is different than with my kids. Like my oldest daughter, that's her that just left here. I tell people she got the business. I was young, didn't know how to raise kids. All I knew is what they did to me. If I want you to stop doing it, I'm gonna put some fire to you.
Right.
You do something, I'm beating your tail and make you not do it. She got all of that. Then after that, you kind of get soft. Now with the grandkids, you get, don't do that. Stop. but the older kid, they know I'll pick a shoe up, and can't say that online too much. I'll throw it out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, discipline always has to be enforced, and I think that what happens with us is we have an undisciplined culture because we talk too much and we allow too much because and I don't think you should beat a child at all. I think that we should teach children, but you got to teach them when they're his age,
Hmm.
not when they get 17. Then you want to start teaching and talking, and
Right.
then he isn't really hearing.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
And I think
So,
that's a big issue nowadays. Because a lot of these young boys were never snatched up by somebody that they actually viewed as an OG or somebody that they viewed as important. A lot of these young boys haven't been snatched up by somebody that they looked at with some type of reverence to tell them, hey, you need to sit your little ass down somewhere because you wilding out. You see what I'm saying? A lot of us have, and I'm saying us because I'm a product of a single mom home.
mhm.
So yeah, a lot of us haven't felt that.
So you tapped into it, and we must have been vibing and connecting just now because that's exactly where I was going to go. Like, what are some of the things that you guys are seeing right now? And I want to keep it kind of general right now and kind of bring it closer. What are some of the things that you're seeing right now in today's society to where we can clearly see that, either the father was not with that young man or he was in the home and he had absolutely zero influence?
The extra feminization of men,
Oh
of
my
the male.
God.
And I'm not even talking about switching and wearing wigs. I'm talking we have feminine behaviors where I think I was talking to you guys last week where my neighbor across the street, his daughter, both teenagers, a boy and a girl, his daughter was cutting the grass and the son was out making TikTok videos dancing in front of the car. It's like certain things men should have it imprinted in men work. You don't work, you don't eat. I don't care who says that. You don't work, you don't eat. If you don't provide, you don't eat. If a man doesn't provide, you can't have a family and not already be prepared to provide. Not say I'm going to get a job. No, if you're thinking family, if you're thinking you're ready for these levels of responsibility, you should already be thinking about how you're going to be taking care of these responsibilities off the rip. But the feminization is a big thing in today's society.
Hmm. What about
I
you,
also
Chris?
see I also see a lack of emotional control.
Hmm.
A lot of a lot of us, okay, I'm going to say this. I don't want to get coach canceled, but I'm going to say this and I'm going to say this is not an attack on single mothers. However, it is known that women are emotional creatures. And when a man is around an emotional creature, that is all he knows. He doesn't know how to control that emotion. This is why you're starting to see these youngsters wild out. This is why you're seeing youngsters. This is why you're seeing so much dysfunction. First off, we weren't taught that even having emotions was a manly thing. First off, we were taught that we weren't supposed to feel nothing. There's a difference between being stoic and not having emotion. And that's something that I think has been lost in translation. Being stoic just means you're not controlled by your emotions. You still have them, but you're not letting them run your life. A lot of these boys are over emotional, meaning that once they feel something, they immediately act without thinking about what that action is going to get them in the future. I'm starting to see that a lot.
Yeah, I like that. I like both of your comments, to be honest with you, um, because I think it's important for us to be able to clearly identify reality. I think that's a thing. If we can't clearly identify reality, which means that we need both lenses. If I only have one lens that I view reality through, then I have a very skewed perspective. If I have both lenses, both mom and dad, I have both lenses to where I can I understand, like Roland was saying, I understand that I'm a provider, I'm a protector, which is kind of like historically the go-to thing for men, right? If I understand that I provide and protect, but I also understand how to be emotionally stable to where I just don't fly off the handle and oversaturate the environment with my emotions, then what I understand is that number one, I can identify reality and I don't attempt to manipulate the environment with my emotions. Because let's just be completely clear, for those of us who have a hard time controlling our emotions, the only thing we're trying to do is make it painful for someone else so that
Mm.
we can get our way. So I think that's an important thing to
Ooh.
understand. And I love that you guys brought that to the table because I agree with you. I think I want to go a little further with this because we talked about identity last week. And I think identity is probably the most important thing that a child misses when one parent is absent, right? The child is the perfect mixture of both parents. And when we understand that to be the case, then we understand something more deeper. Those parents must work together so that that child can understand that I'm some of mom, I'm some of dad. And when I understand that I'm some of mom and I'm some of dad, then I can get to the point to where I can, maneuver my way through this thing called life. Without one of them, what's going to end up happening is that I'm maneuvering my way through life, but I'm half cocked because I only have one perspective. And that one perspective is not going to serve me well. And that's on both ends of the spectrum. I'm being completely honest. Again, the idea of men provide and men protect is, I'm not downplaying that at all because I think that's true. For me, I know for a fact that that's what I've done for years. But let me be completely honest. I'm not providing or protecting unless I love what I'm providing or protecting for. So when we go back and research the scriptures, husbands love your wives like Christ loved the church. So what we have to do as men is study what that looks like. It's a whole lot easier to respect. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. It's a whole lot easier to respect because we should have seen that growing up. So now we have a whole different worldview. That boy needs his father so he can understand what love looks like. And love is not emotions.
And love tells the truth.
Mm,
And what happens is, like all week, I've been seeing, and I'm gonna say it because people talk around it, but I've been seeing Dwayne Wade's son
Oh,
all
Jesus
over the
H.
internet. And if you just
Jesus,
looked
Howard
at the screen
Christ.
and didn't know who it was, you would have thought, "Oh, that's a little girl." But no, it's a boy, and his father and his stepmother and everybody in his life has allowed him, instead of helping him, they've allowed him to take on that facade and want to change who he was born to be into whatever he wants. Now, when I was young, I had a bunch of sisters, so they had Barbie houses. If my father caught me playing with the Barbie doll house, he straightened me up real quick. Like, hey, that ain't what you do. And even though I probably had a He-Man tearing stuff up, but it was just a thought. Like, no, you can't be playing with the Barbie doll house. And it was certain things like, no, boys don't do that. Now you can't say that, and people shy away from even identifying. Well, what's a woman? Well, I don't know because a woman can be whatever she say it is or he say she is. And it's like, no, a woman has an identity just like a man has an identity. And when you leave those truths out, you allow any and everything to go, and you have P Valley, you have Dwayne Wade's son, you have all of these people who don't necessarily know who they are, and they just make it up as they go and expect for you to accept it. And when you don't accept it, society says you're wrong when you're actually right.
I like it. Now,
Yeah,
I,
they
I
get to
want you
put
to,
you in an ism or an ist that
there
you
you
don't
go.
even belong into.
Mhm.
I can't stand that.
I love it. I love it. So shout out to JL Summers. We miss you, brother. Come on back. And shout out to Kendrick Lynn. Awesome guy. Again, both young men, awesome husbands, awesome fathers who are actually there and they are influential in their children's life. So shout out to those young men. Roland, I kind of want to go a little deeper in what you're saying because you use the word allowed. they're
Hmm.
allowed to do those things. Kind of paint that picture, man. Help us to understand what you mean. I mean, it sounds good, right? And it sounds like everybody should know what that really means. But within the scope of parenting, what does allowing your child to do whatever it is they want to do? Because that's one of the things that I'm seeing, right? And I just want to kind of set the conditions of that. I'm seeing that a lot. Like, allow your child to do that. We don't discipline our children. We allow them to figure it out. So kind of help us to understand what that looks like.
I think it starts with small things. Like when I came here the other night, I was here with my grandchildren, and it was two girls here, one boy. And I'm going to the trash can. I see the trash. They keep stuffing it down or just piling stuff on it. So I look at it and I say, dude, this is your job. You're the only man here. You're the only male here. So when it comes to taking the trash out, making sure the trash is out on Saturday morning to the side of the road, that is your job. And I'm establishing that with him.
Yeah.
It's just small things, because if I allow him to shun those responsibilities, the work responsibilities, hey, the grass need to be cut. I'm not telling them girls to go out there and cut it. You get out there and cut it. I'm trying to establish there's certain things that we do. Hey, make sure your mama, if she coming in the house, make sure the door open, lock the door behind her, and all these other things, because it's a certain level of respect that he should have for women, period, not
Mm.
just his mother, but it starts with his mother. And when you allow those things to go by the side, then you allow other things, because they watching TV. They, all my grandkids, I got, what is it, that child 7 years old. She got, Papa, she got a TikTok. Like, what? She like TikTok for dancing. I'm like, okay, for dancing? Who you know? I'm looking through her friends because I need to know.
Right.
And if they think that life is everything that they see through these programming devices, then they will be exactly as those devices program them to be, whether it's P Valley, whether it's all, it allows them things that they say, yeah, it's not that bad. Oh, it's okay to do this.
Yeah.
And when once it becomes okay a little bit, then it just seeps in, and then everything and anything goes.
Mm. I like that. And this is what I'm hearing you say, because I was joking with you earlier today. So what you guys don't know is Roland was whooping up on his grandson
Oh
on
shoot.
Madden. Yeah, whooping up on his grandson on Madden, right?
Oh
Roland
man.
plays Madden. We got in trouble for that in the army, right? But he was whooping up on his grandson. And I said, Roland, let him win, man. Let him win. And Roland
Mm-mm,
said, no, man,
mm-mm.
no, he got to get this work now. He said, because when he get older, I may not be able to win. I kind of paraphrased it, but that's what he was
Yeah,
getting at. But then I came back and I said something different, right? When I came back, one of the things I shared is that he is teaching that young man resiliency now. And so when you use the word allow, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Not so much as you whipping up on your grandson, but one of the things that I've witnessed is that a parent's inability to tell their child no, because they're living the life through the lack of what they're experienced as a child. So my child is going to get everything they want. But what you're not realizing is that you're preventing that child from learning the art of resiliency. And so the art of resiliency allows them to control their emotions when the world starts telling them no. So,
exactly.
so I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's the honest truth. You go ahead, brother. You about to say
Yeah,
something?
because and when I would start whooping up on him, I'm up by like 21 points or whatever. He wanted to quit. I wouldn't let him quit. I say, no. When
Yeah.
you get into something, you got to see it through. I say, if you're gonna lose, lose gracefully. Because when you win, you talking, you dancing. He want to show me his little when he scored, because he was up on me 14-6. He wanted to show me the little gritty dance or whatever. I'm like, all right. See, I want you to have that same bravado when you're losing,
Yeah.
Yeah, keep that
because
same energy when you catching the
yeah,
L.
and because if I allow him to quit there, he can quit tomorrow. He got a football game. I'm gonna be out there. I can't say, okay, you all right if you quit. No, I got to dig in you then too. No, we don't quit. We got to be a people that when times get hard, when situations get hard, men don't back down. They stand up to responsibility. They stand up to the task and see it through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What you say, Chris? Keep that same energy when you get that
Yeah,
L.
keep that same energy when you taking a loss.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
anything is teaching you, hey, I like what you're doing, Roland, because if anything, the way that I'm saying it, and I wish I would have had this coming up, you are teaching him, hey, be better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be like me. Be better than me. Yeah, I'm thrashing you. I'm up 3 touchdowns. Okay. Figure out a way to win.
Right.
I'm not going to hand it to you because when you
Mhm.
walk out these doors, the world ain't going to hand it to you.
Right.
Right.
You're a boy. You got to get it.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
go get it. And yes, there is competition. I'm competing with you, but this is friendly. I love you. Those dudes outside that door, they don't care nothing about you.
At
Mm,
all.
You got to work. You got to get it no matter
yeah.
what.
Absolutely.
And
So this
don't
kind of
curl up in a ball when you lose. Stand up with your head up. Hey, good game.
there you
But I
go.
got you next time.
There you
Right.
go. See, this kind of brings to mind the idea that everybody gets a trophy for participation, right?
It's the dumbest thing
Again,
ever. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't want no trophy for losing.
Yeah.
so
If
I'm gonna
anything, it's
play.
a constant reminder that I lost.
Hmm.
I don't
I'm
want
gonna
to be
play
reminded
devil's
that I came in
advocate.
second and third place.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Can I do that?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll mute
So
my mic. Go ahead, coach.
no, man, don't mute your mic. I'm doing it on purpose. I want you to, shoot down what I'm saying. But what about for those kids, young kids, especially 3, 4, 5, whatever, pop one football, whatever that looks like, right? But they see the other guys with the trophy and they're just feeling bad about themselves and things of that nature. We shouldn't give them a trophy to make them
No,
feel
such is life. Such is life. You're
And everybody
going
can't.
to lose.
Yeah. Everybody can't be good at everything. I mean, when I played sports growing up. When I got out on the soccer field, I realized I ain't know nothing about no soccer. I'm like lost,
yeah.
but I can't quit. So hey, whatever it is, it may not be for you. Enjoy it for what it is. And I think we put too much pressures on these kids to that we're living our lives through. Like I got two sons right now playing, two grandsons playing football, and I let them enjoy it.
Hmm.
I'm not about to be acting like they the next Deion Sanders or anything like that. I'm trying to let them see that there are things and avenues to have a life outside of sports because I think all too often we put too much emphasis on sports and different athletics instead of actually having the capacity to use our brain in other avenues where we can make money.
That, my friend, I agree 100% with. I'm sorry, I had to sound off on that one because you're absolutely right. Right. Again, it's man, I can't. See, you're in my lane right now. I'm just going to put it out there. You're in my lane, right?
Mhm.
I'm sorry. You have this thing in between your ears for a reason, and so the more we sharpen and fine tune that thing, the better prepared you are for life. Because I mean, let's just be honest. You got like 1 in 1,000th chance to get to the promised land, professional sports or whatever that looks like. So
Yeah,
going
it's like
from
a
high,
percent of a percent.
right? It's the odds are just ridiculous. So why not sharpen the thing that that child was gifted with? Why not sharpen his mind? Right? Hold him accountable to doing that work. You know what I'm saying? Go to school, get good grades. That's your only job. And put the trash out and cut the grass. Just being honest.
Mhm.
Right? Do those things. Because I gotta teach you, because we talked about it, men teach their children, their sons what love look like, because that's their responsibility anyway. So men pass on the mantle of love to their sons, but they also pass on the mantle of resiliency because most men understand what failing to achieve certain objectives look like. So through that understanding, we pass it on. It's not a brutal beating. I want to make sure we understand that. And I only play devil's advocate because I agree 100% that these whole everybody gets a trophy thing is the worst thing that we could possibly have done. I
Yeah.
think I think that was created because it made parenting easier. Let's be honest. Your job gets really important at the point where that child starts feeling bad about his or herself because they didn't win. So now you got to nurture. Now you got to speak life back into that child and help them to understand that it's okay. It's okay to feel the way that you feel, but remember what that feeling feels like so that the next time you go back out there, you make sure that you win. That's
Hmm.
what parenting is all about. And I think everybody gets a trophy. I think that it kind of alleviates you from having to do that. So
I
yeah, man.
wholeheartedly agree.
Gender
It's made these
fluid.
boys out here. Okay, I'm gonna say this again. I'm not attacking women when I say this, but this whole everybody gets a trophy, everybody wins, everybody who participates gets a ribbon. It's made the boys soft.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna say it flat out. It's made the boys soft. None of these, a lot of these boys out here don't know how to handle adversity. They don't
Yeah.
know how to
Hmm.
take the lessons from the loss. They automatically think that they lost, so the world hates them. No, it just means that at any given moment, you can probably come out on top.
Right.
You weren't the man on that day. That does not mean that you can't come back even stronger with the lessons that you took from that loss and say, hey, you might have beat me here, but hey, I watched. So you're not gonna beat me the same way.
Right.
You gotta come harder because I'm
Hmm.
coming. Whether you like it or not, I'm coming. So you're gonna have to deal with me. We've lost that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is what make coaches such a great asset to parenting because they start that conversation in the locker room. When those kids come off the field feeling dejected, you know what I'm saying, feeling like they're just, their whole life just went before them. Coaches give them a pep talk, pick them back up. Hey, it's okay. You guys played your hardest. I'm proud of you, right? And then the parents are supposed to continue that once they get them home. But if you give them a trophy, I mean, it is what it is. And plus, this is the opportunity that you help them to understand that losing within itself isn't something that is bad. Like part of growing is failing. You're going to fail to meet your mark. You learn and you grow from that lesson so that you can do it better the next time. So I think that's an important thing to consider. I think we talked about some things here so far, and I want to make sure that we continue on to some other things as well before our time runs out. So we talked about men. We actually teach our children what love is all about because that's our responsibility to learn it. Number two, we teach them resiliency through sports and games and all that other stuff. We teach them hard work. Roland talked about putting out the trash. I kind of mentioned cutting grass, things of that nature. What else? We talk about the necessity of fatherhood. What else do fathers teach their children that they really need?
I think what I'm doing, like with my got all these boys, these grandboys. I not only am strict when it comes to adherence to what your parents say, because they know I will dig into them if they don't do what they're supposed to do. Like when you get home, you ain't playing a game. Do your schoolwork. Do your homework and all of this. But as hard as I am with that, when I see these same boys, I make sure because I didn't get it. I hug my boys. I kiss my boys on the cheek. I know people like I don't kiss no boy. Whatever. Them my boys. So I will kiss my boys on the cheek. I hug them. I embrace them. I let them know it's okay to be in that space with a family member male where you can hug somebody and you ain't got to say no homo and all this
Mm.
other stuff because I don't even have to say no homo because that's the furthest thing from my mind
Right,
because that's not in my nature.
right,
And so I teach that at a young age so they're comfortable with themselves because when they aren't comfortable with themselves, they gravitate towards everybody and anybody else and what they say.
yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. Chris, what are your thoughts, real quick, brother? What are your thoughts based upon what else fathers can teach their sons? I understand you're not a father, right? But just in your thoughts initially.
I think we are I think we already hit every nail that we could as far as what fathers can teach sons. It's about the male side. I never had it. Like, my dad was never there, and the dude my mom married didn't teach me nothing.
Mm.
So I learned everything in reverse, to be honest. But I guess we I, we already hit everything.
Yeah.
We literally already hit everything. There's a stern, firm, stand up for yourself and do what you say you gonna do type of behavior that only a man can teach a boy. That can't come from mama because mama's gonna want to protect and coddle and say, "Oh baby, it's okay. Let me kiss your boo boo." Dad's gonna be like, "Man, get your ass up. You ain't hurt. You good.
Rub some
Cry,
dirt on.
Let some that on it.
right? You can cry about it. I know it hurts. Go ahead, get it all out. But you're not about to stay there. Get your little ass up. Put a band-aid on it and get back out here. This ain't gonna kill you. A little pain is not gonna hurt. And it don't
Right.
last always. If anything, a little pain makes you resistant to the pain. So you can go back out there. And that's another
Mm-hmm.
thing we lost. We don't know how to take pain.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. I like that one. I like that one. Let me kind of let me kind of spin off of what you're saying because I like the fact you said we don't know how to take pain. I think fathers teach them how to take pain, but I also think that fathers teach their sons how to prevent long lasting pain. And what am I mean? What do I mean when I say that? So if you have a family, how to raise, how to actually be an influence within that space. If you have children, how to be influential. Don't just be in the house, right? Being in the house is not, we got a father, we got a man in the house. Yeah. Existing in space is not a thing. So fathers teach their sons like, look, you need to be an influential part of the house. You don't rule over the house with an iron fist. That's not a thing. That's not what we do around here. And a lot of that teaching is by example, right? So that those boys see how their dad move in space, how their dad treat their mother, how their dad treat their siblings, how their dad go to work, how their dad makes sure that nobody in the house wants or lacks anything. Don't get everything they want, just don't want or lack for anything. So those things are observed. And then as that young man becomes in his young adolescent years, now that father is taking that boy under his wing and he is taking them places, spending time with them. They're playing sports together, shooting hoops. Those are bonding moments, right? We're going to the barbershop, all that other great stuff. Why? Because these are those moments to where they can have intimate conversation. And that's the word I really want to make sure that I'm bringing to the table because men need to understand what intimacy is. I'm not talking physical contact. I'm talking about honesty and transparency, right? That's the gateway to intimacy. So those boys learn how to be honest and transparent through that mature father that takes them under their wing and teach them how to be a mature man. And I can say that because I've seen what that looks like. I have a friend, and one of the things that we talk about is they were raised with good roots, right? Mom and dad both were in the home. Dad was well respected. Dad respected mom, and they worked well together as a unit. So, transition into that person's life, what you now see is that they didn't make a lot of the mistakes that people like me did.
And I think fathers also, sometimes we get this age after we done all our dumb stuff and we try to teach our children everything positive without telling them the real dirty, how you were, how you did somebody else's mama, somebody else's daughter. Don't remove yourself from that equation, act like you wasn't a dog. No, because you were a dog, you did these things. And I think we try to hide those things from our sons and daughters, which is a negative. We should allow them to see the flawed us and how we were flawed and how it affected us then. That's why me and your brother's mother ain't together. That's why me in this situation didn't work out because I wasn't mature and this is how I handled it. Or, when you can be in a space where you can talk about any and everything, it allows them to feel free to talk about any and everything with you and not just go to the locker room or to the shower to learn what it is to be with a woman. Because if they learn what it is to be with a woman from the locker room, they gonna be knocking them down and doing all this. And then you're gonna end up with a bunch of grandbabies and STDs and all these things. But when you teach them what it is and what it's about, then they have a better idea of how to treat that other person and how it can affect them.
True. True. You it's like, I'm glad you mentioned mature fathers, because there are a lot of dudes out here that are just dudes with kids. You understand what I'm saying? They weren't taught the lessons that we're learning now. And it's not their fault. Like, it's not. You can't fault them for not knowing what they didn't know. You can't fault them for following what they were taught, because probably the person that they taught didn't know.
Yeah.
But now we know. So there's no excuse now, to be real. There's too much information out here. Way too much information out here for us to be still doing what we've been doing. And trying to keep doing what we've been doing until it seems right, when really we know deep rooted, like, hey man, we really shouldn't be doing what we're doing. Like, let's just stop this.
Yeah. I'm an advocate of it. I'm protective of my in group, but I'm very hard on my in group as well. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm like that. I'm like that for a reason, because I mentioned it earlier. I've made several mistakes. I've made so many mistakes, brother. I teach you the things not to do, but I'm gonna teach you the lessons, not the experiences, right? And I think that's important. And so you're absolutely right. There is zero excuse. Before the internet and all this other great stuff got it, the lessons were learned through experience. So there was a lot of dumb mistakes that were made. But now, no one has an excuse. You can go on, you can Google anything and figure out how to do something. You know what I'm saying? If you want to, I mean, just something like simple as emotional intelligence. And I don't want to make it sound like it's simple, but you can look it up online and understand what the four facets of emotional intelligence are, and then start working on that. So everybody has the capacity to do something better. But the thing is, the question is whether or not you're at that space in your time. And are you at that time, in your life where you want to do something better? And one of the things I've learned is that some of the best lessons are learned through blunt force trauma. The pain has to be a
Whew.
great the pain has to be significant enough to where you don't want to do the things you used to do. So we cannot, and this is another thing, we cannot, and I'm stressing this hard, we cannot interfere with the lessons that life are going to teach. Roland can call me right now and say, "Hey man, I need you. I'm there. Got you." Roland call me next month. "Hey man, I need you again." "Hey, gotcha." Roland call me 2 months now. "Hey man, I need you again." "Roland, let's talk, bro." You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like,
Because
what's happening?
yeah, what's really
Yeah.
going on? At a certain point, I gotta let life do what it does better than me. I can come and help, but at certain points, I gotta realize, like, am I really helping or am I enabling? And
Right.
that's the thing that I'm seeing a lot of parents do right now. Stop enabling them kids to be where they are. Allow them to grow.
Let them boys get their asses whooped.
I agree
And
because I think
I'm not saying get beat up. Let them boy, well, actually, yeah. Let them boys get their asses whooped so that way they can learn. They need to learn how to defend themselves. Quit coddling these boys. It's so frustrating. Let me stop.
But you're right.
Yeah.
And even though society is a little different than when I grew up, because when I grew up, you would have an older male get the boxing gloves, say, "We're going in the backyard and do what y'all do." But now, because these kids don't know how to control their emotions and they have access to weapons and things like that, that's what they go to first. When I grew up, if you take a whooping, you take a whooping. You go back to school, they gonna talk about you. Okay. It's gonna go on for about a week, and then they'll be talking about somebody else next week. But nowadays, with the bully culture, I'm like, God, dog, I was a bully then
Yeah.
because that's all we did was talk about people. We talk about people because they will talk about us, and then it's like once you get, I was one of the people where if you let me see that it's affecting you, oh, I'm going in now.
Oh
Because
shoot.
I can go with the best of them. I can talk about whatever, and I would be labeled a bully now. When back then it was like a rite of passage. It was like, okay, well, we just talking about things that like they talk about everybody in my household were Bruners, last name Bruner. Me and my sister we were Walkers, so they didn't know no better. They thought we were Bruners too. They would always big nose Bruners and stuff like that. So I had to have thick skin.
Mm,
I had to, and it started at home. My family talked about it,
yeah.
and we talked about each other. And it's not about the embarrassment of it, it's about the familiarity of knowing one another enough to where I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just, this is just what we do. And I
Right.
think people have gotten past that where it's not what we do, just kidding, just talking about one another. We're not trying to really hurt your feelings, in that aspect, but we trying to get something on you. And because we know it's like a bus, it's going to come right back around. It's
Yeah.
come back to me.
Absolutely.
And it teaches you not to take yourself too seriously. Like
Mm.
relax. You're not
Right.
that you are not as important as you think you are. Get out
Oh
your
man.
ego. Jesus Howard
Man.
Christ.
Come on with it.
Get out of your
Um,
ego. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm glad you brought up the whole bullying thing, and I'm glad you brought up the access that these young boys have to these extreme measures. Because I think that a lot of these boys is afraid to catch an ass whooping because they're afraid of that ass whooping going viral.
hmm,
Everybody pulling their phone out once a fight starts, says instead of saying, first off, what are y'all fighting over?
yeah.
Really? Like if it's a lack of respect and you feel like you got to stand up for yourself, that's different.
Yeah.
But a lot of these, like I said, man, a lot of these boys is afraid to catch a L because they know if they catch a L and somebody got their phone out, is going on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and then next thing you know, the world sees you getting your ass whooped in the middle of the hallway in between fourth and fifth period.
Yeah.
Hmm. Definitely.
This social media, I said it on the last live stream. Moms, teach these boys that social media is not the real world.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop.
But you're right though. You're absolutely right. Um, I think it's the thing, and that goes back to the resiliency piece, right? I think it's the thing to where we need to understand again, life is going to happen. You can protect them in the house all you want to. Once they go outside, they're fair game. You know what I'm saying? They're fair game. So again, that's another layer of resiliency. And Roland, I know exactly what you're talking about because again, same thing. Like I said before, it wasn't cool to be dark skinned being, raised up in the 80s. You know,
Hmm.
you know what
I
I'm
had to
saying?
gr- I had to grow into my ears. I was Dumbo until my freshman year in high school.
See, and you had to find something to come back, and you
Yep.
couldn't let it just take you out because nowadays, and mental illness is a real thing, and I never talk against it, but we have to toughen up our children to where words don't take them out.
Right.
It's like, no, you got to look at yourself. I don't care if you are dark and you wasn't cool until Blade came out like Dwayne. If you're light skinned and had the Al B. Sure look and they ain't in no more, whatever it is, you have to look in the mirror and see yourself as beautiful. When you have that inward beauty, I ain't worried about what somebody else says because I love me And our children don't know what it is because you have internet thugs and they are only tough when it comes to crowds or uh, typing or
Mm,
texting. That's when they're tough. Like, no, if you tough, then you can be tough in front of somebody. And I think we need to get back to uh, actually having the community able to help raise our children.
yep,
But we have to have the same mindset.
absolutely.
That's why I said in the beginning, like a lot of these OGs out here aren't really teaching these boys what they really need to know. And a lot of these boys don't have any OGs that'll snatch them up and say, hey, settle your little ass down.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what we need. We need the men to say, hey, bro, you tripping. Why are you on social media doing all of this stuff? This
Right.
ain't you. This ain't you. Sit your little ass down somewhere. Matter of fact, crack open this book. Read me
Yeah.
4 or 5 chapters. And if you can't read me the first 4 lines in these 4 chapters, you have no business sitting in front of your phone talking crazy
Mm,
because
Yeah.
you don't have the literacy to do so. Sit your little ass down somewhere and learn a skill.
I like
This
it.
social media stuff is going to get you killed.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Sharpen that thing. I like it. And again, man, I love all of this because I think you're right. And going back to the whole, going out, going to school, whatever the case may be, and getting, getting Jones on or whatever, and then coming back feeling, depressed, whatever the case may be. That man can pull up, and mom can do it as well. Don't get me wrong, but that man, you know what? I used to get picked at too, but you know what? I got to the point, like Roland said, I had to realize that person that I see every day I look in the mirror was created exactly the way that person was supposed to be. And it doesn't matter what
Like,
another person thinks.
yeah, like you dope in your own way.
Yeah, everybody is. And until you get that, and I want to make sure we're clear, right? We're not talking about promoting arrogance. That's something totally different, right? Totally different. We're talking about helping that child to develop an understanding that they were created perfect. Like there is no other them, period. And just because that person is different doesn't make them wrong. And I
Right.
think that's important to understand. And those both parents can instill that into that young man. Both parents can instill
Mm-hmm.
that into that young lady. So I think this all is important that we're talking about here. Gentlemen, we are at an hour. We're beyond an hour. I kept you longer than I intended to. I need one last statement from each of you that we're going to leave our audience with on this evening.
It's necessary to be present in your child's life as much as it is to be a financial staple. I think sometimes the focus is on the financial piece when it comes from a single mother's aspect because she has a need and know that the child has needs, but sometimes the other parent may not be in a position to take away from where he is. But you shouldn't keep him out of the child's life because that teaches him that it's the woman's responsibility and it's her upholding him, and it lessens the not just the position of a man but the makeup of a father, and his father especially. And when his father in his eyes, I just say it like I say it, ain't his hero, he looks for other heroes. So he'll look to the gangs, he'll look to the sororities, he'll look to the people on TV as his heroes, and those may not be markers he can attain. But his father is somebody he can actually talk to, and he can have that communicative. Yeah, he can communicate with his father. I think then he can see the damage that the whole situation did with his father, and he can see how to get out of that thing and grow from it.
I love it. I love it.
My turn. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Dear all products of single mom homes, the internet is fake. Social media is fake. Them chains that you see on these cats necks, they're rented or they're fake. Them cars don't belong to them. Them houses don't belong to them. Go learn you a skill. Dear all single mothers and baby mamas, please do not take the father leaving you with the same thought process of the father leaving you and the child. The father left you. It didn't work out with you. The child is still his and he still needs to be there. Again, dear all products of single mom homes, go find your father. Go have the uncomfortable question and go into it open minded so that way you can figure out A, why you are the way that you are, and B, you can get his side of the story and quit looking at him through your mama's eyes. That's disrespectful to him. Go figure yourself out and then make an informed decision. That's my final thought.
I love it. I love it. That's why I love these guys, man. They give it to you unfiltered. And that's what we're all about. Listen, my final thought is this. It's simple. Build a bridge. It kind of goes back to what Chris was just saying. Build a bridge. Moms, we love you, but you're not the most important person in that child's life. Dads, we love you too, but you're not the most important person in that child's life. Both of you are the most important people in that child's life. And until you understand that, you're going to raise your child through the lens of wanting to feel important. That is your ego. That child is more important than your feelings, your ego, and anything else you can come up with. Be better. I think it's important for us to understand that we all can be better. That's why we have these conversations every Friday night. This is our attempt on trying to not only be better men ourselves, but help everybody else, help other men, and be better. That's just really what it is. We're not saying that we got it all together. We made enough mistakes in our lives to want to help. We don't want everybody to continue down the path. We're seeing some things in this society that, frankly, it pains me to see. I'm just being 100% transparent. And you can read between the lines. You can send me an email. You can call me on the phone and I tell you exactly what I'm talking about. It pains me to see some of the things that I'm seeing. Build a bridge. I got it. The relationship didn't work. Set that aside. Make it possible for the two of you to work together. You don't necessarily have to like each other to be a team. Let's be completely honest. I done played football with people I don't even like. I done played basketball with people I didn't even like until I realized a 5'8" on a basketball court wasn't cool. Just being honest. That's all right, Chris. I see that, bro. Build a bridge, man. That's all we're asking. Build a bridge. That child needs it. The health, the mental and emotional health of that child long term needs that. For those mothers who've done that, shout out to you. We uplift you and we say thank you. And I believe that as you look in your children's lives, you can see that as well. Shout out to Sherry Sweet. Um, because I know she's one of the people that I know did it. I had to call out because she shot me a message a few minutes ago. Right. She's an awesome person, an awesome mom, and her son Dante, man, is just a spitting image of everything that we're talking about right now. So, congratulations to that young man, and he and his wife are doing wonderful things. This is what we're talking about. When you can put your past aside and say, you know what, we need to come together because this child needs both of us. That's the thing that literally changes what we're seeing in this world today. So, gentlemen, again, thank you for another great conversation. Thank you to everybody that was in the chat. Thank you to everybody that sent me a message. We greatly appreciate your presence. Again, share it. Hit the go subscribe on the Empowering Perspective podcast. Hit the notification button so that you'll know every time we go live. Trust me, we understand that life happens, and you could be driving down the street and then get the notification. You can listen to it in your car. We will be here every Friday night because we appreciate you. So, gentlemen, unless you have something else, I want to make sure that every one of you understand Georgia plays at noon tomorrow. So tune in. And Roland loved that. I know it. I know he does. Listen, man, great evening to everybody. I hope everybody have a fantastic weekend. Chris, brother, I owe you a phone call. That will be tomorrow evening, because I know you're working. So we'll talk tomorrow evening.
Okay.
That being said, see you guys next week. Everybody be blessed and just find somebody to be a blessing to.